Here we have some more revision for our quadratic equations. We have an expression up the top there, 5x squared take away t is equal to 4x, and we're told that both x and t are positive real numbers. Find what x is equal to, or this is x in terms of t. So what we need to do is rearrange this equation firstly and set it equal to 0. So if we've got 5x squared minus t equals 4x, then we should take this 4x and shift it over to that side, and we do that by taking away 4x from both sides. So we end up with 5x squared take away 4x take away t is equal to 0. Now what I would do is use the quadratic formula to evaluate x. If we have ax squared plus bx x plus c equals 0, then x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared take 4ac all over 2a. And I'm going to substitute the values that we have from our equation into that particular expression. So this is our rule. I'll change colours here. So if we've got x equals negative b, so that's negative of negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's negative 4 squared, take away 4 by a is the coefficient of x squared, so that's 5, by c, in this case c is negative t. Make it look like a negative t. And that's going to be all divided by 2a, which is 2 by 5. And now I'll evaluate a few of those things out. So negative of negative 4 is going to be positive 4, plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared is 16. Up here we have the negative and another negative here, so they become a positive, so it's plus inside. 4 times 5 is 20 t, all divided by 10. Now what I'll do is I'll split it up a little bit here. Equals 4 over 10 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 20 t over 10. Now that 4 over 10, 2 will go into both 4 and 10, so that'll cancel down to become a 2, that'll be cancelled down to become a 5. I'm also looking inside this square root that I would be able to factorise that. 4 goes into both of those terms, so I'm just going to copy this up to here. So I'm now making this equal to 2/5 plus or minus square root of, now as I said 4 goes into both 16 and 20, so that's 4, open bracket, 4 by 4 is 16, and 4 by 5 is 20, so and that'll be all over 10. Now I can take the square root of 4 and bring it out the front of the square root sign, so 2/5 plus or minus 2 root 4 plus 5t over 10, and again I can cancel down, so the 2 will become a 1 and that 10 will become a 5. So this will equal 2/5 plus or minus square root of 4 plus 5t over 5. Now the question tells us that both x and t are positive real numbers. If I was to consider just this bit here, that's the equivalent of 2/5. So the second part of this equation is going to be a value bigger than 2/5. So if we were to have 2/5 take away a number which is bigger than 2/5, that would then mean that x would become negative. So what we then need to do is basically only consider the positive version of this. So that would then tell us that x will be equal to 2/5 plus square root of 4 plus 5t all over 5. And that will be the answer for that one. We'll move on to the next question. Now for this particular question, what we should do is rearrange things. I don't like fractions, so let's get rid of these fractions. Firstly, what I'll do is we'll multiply everything by x, and you have to multiply both sides of the equal sign, and that will cancel that one down. That would now leave us with 4x over x minus 3 plus 2 equals 1x or x. Next thing that we'll do is we'll multiply everything by x minus 3. And x minus 3 in there, and x minus 3 in there. That will cancel that down. So we end up with 4x plus 2x minus 3 equals x minus 3. And what I'll do now is I'll expand out those brackets. So we have 4x plus 2x, so that's 2 times x is 2x, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, is equal to x squared, and take away 3x, make that look a bit more like a 2. Fix that one up. Don't you hate messy writers? It's a bit better. Now we'll shift everything so we've got an equation equal to 0. So the x squared, which way will I do this? I want to end up with a positive x squared, so I might move things over to the right hand side. So if I add 6 to both sides, and I'll also combine these like terms here, so 4x plus 2x is 6x, and I've shifted the 6 to both sides by adding 6, will equal, so that will now equal x squared take 3x plus 6, and now if we take away 6x from both sides, we'll end up with 0 is equal to x squared minus 9x plus 6. Next thing that we'll do is we'll apply the quadratic formula to this to find out what x is going to be. So if you remember that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared take 4ac all over 2a. Now I'll squeeze this up over into the right hand side here to do this. So x will equal negative b, so that's negative of negative 9 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which will be 9 squared or 81, take away 4 by 1 by 6 all over 2a. A is equal to 1, so that's just all over 2. So x will equal 9 plus or minus the square root of 81, take away 4 6s are 24, 24, looking a bit messy there. All over 2, which will equal 9 plus or minus 81 take away 24 is 57, so root 57 all over 2. Now we're told here that x is greater than 0, so we need to see if we need both our plus and minus. Now what I'm thinking here is root 57, is that bigger or smaller than 9? 8 eighths is 64, which is bigger than 57, so that tells me that the square root of 57 is smaller than what 9 would be. So it doesn't matter if we're adding it or subtracting it to 9, from 9, adding it to 9 or subtracting root 57 from 9. Either way it's going to be a positive number. So this is what our answer to x will be. X will equal 9 plus or minus the square root of 57 over 2. That's our answer. And we'll move on to the next example. A car travels 1200 kilometres at a kilometres per hour. A train travels the same distance at a minus 20 kilometres per hour. The train takes 5 hours more to complete the journey than the car, so find the value of a. Now we need some physics equations here for this, where speed equals distance over time. We can rearrange this. Multiplying both sides by time gives us distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. And we can rearrange that again to tell us that time is equal to distance over speed. So they are the three key equations that we need. The way that we apply these equations, we're told in the question, is that the train takes 5 hours more. Whoops. The train takes 5 hours more to complete it. So we're told that the train time equals the car time plus 5 hours. So that's going to use this equation here. We can work out the train time is equal to the train's distance, which is 1200 kilometres, divided by the train's speed, which is a minus 20, and that's equal to the car's time, which again is 1200 kilometres, divided by a plus 5. Now, as previously stated, I don't like fractions, so let's get rid of them. We can multiply everything by a for starters. That cancels that down. And I'll rewrite that. We've got 1200 a over a take 20 will be equal to 1200 plus 5a. And now if we multiply everything by this a minus 20, that cancels that down. We're left with 1200 a is equal to 1200 a take 20 plus 5a take 20, oops, 5a take 20. Gotta fix that up. Close that bracket there, and I'll expand out these brackets, so 1200 a will be equal to 1200 a take 24 plus 5a squared, take away 100a. Now, is there anything that I can cancel down here? I'm looking, I've got the 1200a on both sides. If we took away 1200a, that would mean they both disappear. So we've got 0 is equal to 5a squared, take away 100, oops, like 6, 100 a, take away 24,000. And I'll now divide everything by 5. It'll tell us 0 is equal to a squared, take away 20a, take away, off the top of my head, 24,000 divided by 5, it will be 4,800. Then if I factorise the right hand side there, we'll have 0 is equal to a, take away, now 60 times 80 I think will work, so take away 80 and a plus 60. I did work this out before, so it does work. What we can then do is we can apply both of those brackets to the null factor theorem. So if we have a minus 80 equals 0, that tells us that a would equal 80. Or if we have a plus 60 equals 0, then a would equal negative 60. In this instance here, it's the train and the car are travelling forwards. So what we're going to assume in this situation is that a would be a positive value, so that means that a equal to 80 would be the answer for this situation here.